Welcome, everyone. It has been less than a year since our last AI Anywhere on Data Everywhere event, and I am so excited to welcome you back to our second installment today. At Dell, we believe that data is the foundation of bringing your AI efforts to life. And with the world's broadest AI infrastructure portfolio, we are uniquely positioned to help you unlock the full potential of your data. Our long-standing partnership with NVIDIA has been key to this journey. Earlier this year, we announced the Dell AI Factory with NVIDIA, which has been helping organizations of all sizes and industries accelerate their AI efforts. Integrating Dell's compute, storage, client devices, networking, data protection, and Dell's AI professional services with NVIDIA's AI infrastructure and enterprise AI software. A key component of the Dell AI Factory is the Dell AI Ready Data Platform. This flexible and open solution is designed to streamline data access and provide high-performance storage for even your most data-intensive use cases. Today, we will take a closer look at how our customers are harnessing the power of the AI Ready Data Platform to bring AI to life within their organizations. Now, let's head to theCUBE to explore the latest cutting-edge product innovations to the AI Ready Data Platform, hear from industry experts, and uncover the transformative power of AI that's shaping the future of your business. Thank you for joining us on this journey.
In this segment, we're going to start to unpack why storage architectures are crucial to AI. And this should come as common sense because data powers AI. And really, I'm excited about this segment because to help me unpack this, I'm joined by Elizabeth Carbone, who's the Senior Consultant, Product Marketing, Unstructured Data Storage at Dell Technologies, Martin Glynn, who's the Senior Director of Product Management, Unstructured Data Solutions at Dell Technologies, and Vershank Jain, who's the Senior Consultant, Product Management, Data Management, Dell Technologies. Welcome on board, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
This is, yeah, I mean, I don't think you can have a conversation today about AI and not be talking about these topics of data management and storage and what powers those architectures. So help us understand, what are you hearing from customers when it comes to data management and what is most important to them right now? And Elizabeth, why don't we start off with you?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. So you hit the nail on the head. I think everybody is super focused on their data strategy, in every single vertical. I don't think anybody's left out. And I think that's just magnified when it comes to AI. We talk to customers, they're identifying hundreds of different use cases, but it really comes down, what we're hearing a lot of is, focusing on quality to make sure that our AI models are as accurate as possible. At Dell, we're focused on making sure that customers have visibility over their data, that they can tag it properly so they can, train their AI models in the most effective way possible.
Yeah, and Vershank, why don't you jump in here because, again, you got data management in your title, so yeah. And I know we've talked about this before, so this would be good to understand where do you see this and what are you hearing from customers?
Most of these conversations that we're having with customers, say for a couple of hours, we tend to spend about 80% of that time actually talking about the state of their data architecture, and it's really starting to highlight a couple of areas of areas of improvement. I'll talk about two of them here. Number one is we know RAG is becoming pretty much the dominant use case in the enterprise, but it's not just about being able to create vector embeddings and store them in a vector database. It's about discovering the unstructured data that you have across your landscape, being able to parse some of those complex data types, being able to find where that is with a ton of metadata around it. And I think that's becoming the secret sauce, right? So the better you do that at the beginning before you're even in the embedding step, the better results you're likely going to have in that RAG pipeline. And the second thing is, I think in the initial GenAI craze, suddenly we thought the old structured data side of the world became oh so old. And I think what enterprises are now starting to realize, that is a very high value data set because we've spent years and tons of dollars of investment in refining it. We want to bring that into the generative AI fold, and we want to start asking questions to that data. So I think it's not just an unstructured, it's not just a PDF in a document world, it's becoming all of your data across your enterprise.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that when you start to look at what people are doing with metadata and data and vector databases, and you can call it vector search or what have you in there, it really is coming together. I think now one of the things though is, and this is to the two of you, is that people look at Dell as kind of an infrastructure company, and really, you've been known for that for years. What role are you stepping up into to really help in that data management space? Because people may not really think of you that way. So for Sean, given you have data management in your title, let's start with you about that.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And I think for the last 8 to 9 months, I think we've been trying to position ourselves more in the data management space, not just as a storage or a server or a PC vendor. And to that end, we launched the Dell Data Lakehouse in March of this year, and I think the response has been tremendous. And I'll just give you a quick summary of what that is. The Dell Data Lakehouse is essentially powered by a really cool piece of technology that comes from our partners at Starburst. Some amazing technology that has been incubated and used across internet scale companies for years at this point. But we've taken that technology and it gives us two really cool benefits. One is it's able to federate your query, which means you can go and access and process data regardless of location, no matter where it's stored. So all of your data silos now are certainly connected. And the second thing it does really well is it's able to query data in a really high performant manner on top of your data lake directly. So you really have the best of both worlds, data being all over the place, but also some high value data sets in your data lake on an S3 storage. The whole lakehouse is built on open technologies. We've made significant improvements in that product already. We launched a very cool thing called Warp Speed back in July, where we really turned the dial up on performance with indexing and caching. So we're really excited about all of these new announcements. I think this is starting to position us as not just a storage company, but really as a data company.
Yeah. Martin, what about from your side of the fence? You guys, I know, work very closely together, so this...
Yeah, no, I mean, what Prashant just went through is really, really cool technology, and all the customers we show it to love it. And what they want to do in particular when it comes to Dell infrastructure is sort of marry all of the ability that Prashant just went through with some of their largest unstructured data sets, where they're seeing an explosion of data growth and a need to understand what they have, so then they can take advantage of it and use it for these new generative AI use cases that they're also interested in. So that's where we're going to talk today about marrying the capabilities that we have in our Dell Data Lakehouse and the way it's built with the huge set of capabilities that PowerScale has and what it brings to the table in terms of ingesting enormous amounts of data, being able to manage enormous amounts of data, and now being able to query against the metadata that surrounds that data, so you can get real insights into where you can have an impact on your new generative AI applications.
Prashant, back to you. What are some of the exciting announcements that you see, or where's the roadmap for this going, and what do you see as the next set of innovations?
I want to talk to you about a couple of things that's really, really exciting. Number one, we talked about Starburst and the Trino engine. But we know a lot of enterprises are using Spark in their environments for both batch and real-time pipelines. So the first thing we're doing is we're enabling interoperability, right? Our mantra, or our ethos with the Lakehouse is we want to partner, we want to work with whatever the customers have and never have any lock-in anywhere. So the first thing we're doing is we're making Spark interoperable with our Lakehouse, which means you can use your Spark engine to both ingest into our Lakehouse as well as read data that's in the Lakehouse, with your engine. The second piece is we talked about Iceberg being the open format of choice, and we're taking that one step further. So again, along with our partners at Starburst, we're introducing this concept of an Icehouse. And an Icehouse is really just a data lakehouse where Iceberg is a first-class citizen. That means being able to both continuously ingest data into Iceberg to finally help people modernize to the latest format, And then finally, we're also working with our partners at NVIDIA and helping customers integrate their latest announcements, for example, NeMo Retriever, on top of our storage, and then eventually integrated with our Lakehouse to power both structured and unstructured data to go into RAG pipelines.
That makes a lot of sense, and I think that, again, when you look at the whole piece together, it has to live somewhere. So, and funny enough, you have storage. And so Martin, kind of help us tie together what Vrashank was talking about with what's going on in storage.
I think I'll break it up into a few parts, right? I mean, when you talk about your storage platform, you have to start with, do you have the right amount of flexibility built in, right? Can you achieve the different capacity and performance points? And PowerScale has proven over and over again, it can start really small, 3 nodes, tens of terabytes, can go to hundreds of nodes and hundreds of petabytes. We're really the only vendor who's proven that at scale with lots of really big demanding customers. And so we continue to expand on that and make it more flexible and offer new levels of performance, so and capacity and density. So earlier this year we launched our new all-flash nodes, which were a breakthrough from a performance perspective. Now we're expanding on that. We're about to launch 200 gig front-end Ethernet on these new nodes, which increases performance dramatically beyond where we were. We're also going to add front-end InfiniBand, which opens up a whole new class of infrastructure. We've used InfiniBand on the back end of the system for years. Now you can actually connect from the front end, which there's been sort of a renaissance for InfiniBand, with the advent of generative AI in the last 18 to 24 months. So we've seen a lot of demand from our customers say, I really want to be able to use PowerScale with all of its strengths over here in my InfiniBand infrastructure as well. So we're adding both those things, and that's really just the beginning from a performance perspective. We're pushing the envelope all the time. We feel really good about what we're able to offer our customers, from a hardware perspective, and of course not just the performance but also the density. So we've had 30 terabyte drives in our systems for years. Now we've added 61 terabyte drives. We'll be putting that in our 910 infrastructure just in the next couple months, which really provides customers the best-in-class density and performance combination and flexibility, starting small, growing very, very large. So PowerScale as a storage platform, hands down offers the best set of capabilities. Building on that, we also extended the platform so that you could run it in the cloud, right? So just in the past 18 months, we've offered now the ability to run PowerScale inside AWS and inside Azure. You're going to see more from us there. And what customers are really excited about there from a generative AI perspective is there are some tool sets you can only access in the cloud. So now they have this platform that they've come to love and deploy at scale inside their own data centers. They want to take advantage of tool sets inside the cloud. They can easily move the data back and forth, take advantage of it in the cloud. You'll see a lot more from us in the very near future on that, so stay tuned. And then I'd say the third piece of our vision here is now you've got these systems that are growing larger and larger. I mean, we have 100 petabyte plus customers. We're dealing with exabyte sized deals and environments. And when you get to these scale points and the amount of data that's being created, you really have to have sophisticated tools to be able to discover the data you have, ultimately process it and produce new interesting outcomes and applications. And so Vrashank went through beautifully all the set of capabilities we have from a data management perspective. Now we have to connect the platforms, right, and give you the ability to query and discover against all that metadata inside PowerScale, which is what we're going to release in the next couple months. And I think it's really important on this point to emphasize the way we see customers wanting to take advantage of all the data in their PowerScale platform. And that's with choice and flexibility and an open infrastructure. They want to be able to use the tool sets that they're comfortable with and that are changing rapidly in this new generative AI world. They don't want to be locked into a specific way to query a system or have to do something on a specific system. They want to be able to do it outside the system. So what we're building is the ability to plug your PowerScale metadata into the rest of your data pipeline, whether it's AI data pipeline, which is one top of mind for most customers these days, but across all the different use cases we work with our customers today.
I think that makes a lot of sense in the perspective of all of these pieces coming together. And I think, you have to, we see this because for customers to get real value out of it, it has to knit together not just the software parts and pieces. You want it as a solution that all works in the same way.
Speaking about the solution approach, I think one of the things that I get very excited about working at Dell and working and partnering with NVIDIA is that we actually create the validated designs, the blueprints to make this all a reality that takes hundreds of hours of testing, the tried and tested stack that you need to run these, very important Gen AI use cases. I think it's important to note that we give you the blueprint as well through our validated designs and working very closely with NVIDIA.
To that extent, Elizabeth, why don't you kind of help us understand, because Dell has been that infrastructure go-to company for so much time. How do you really transition to being that trust and earning that trust to become that strategic data management advisor back to those companies now?
Absolutely. And, I think that data management to us is not just a technology choice, it's about people and process as well. And so we do have consulting services to help people along this journey. People are at different stages of their Gen AI or AI journey. And so what we want to do is help them wherever they are in that journey. So, we've added new capabilities and we're announcing today new data discovery, cataloging, pipeline orchestration services. So, you can work with our subject matter experts to make sure that you're using your data and you're leveraging your data in every way possible to power these use cases. So that's number one. Outside of consulting services, though, I think one of the hidden secrets, and it might not be a hidden secret, but it's something that I'm very passionate about, is that we have vertical industry experts within Dell that can actually talk your data language. So like, for example, media and entertainment and, genomics, like I mentioned, digital pathology, all of these verticals have unique applications, unique workflows that they need to think about when, using their data for these Gen AI use cases. And so I think what I'm really proud of is that Dell has, the vertical experts that you need to talk your data, to talk your language, and walk through what that strategy should look like for your business. And I think that's a real differentiator for us.
Absolutely. Let's leave it there. It's been great. Thank you, Elizabeth Martin and Vershank, for coming on board today. I think this conversation is one that I know we will continue. So for those of you who are watching, stay tuned for more Making AI Real with Data on theCUBE, the leader in high-tech enterprise news and analysis. Stay tuned.
We're standing right now at the precipice of a giant AI revolution. We now have the ability to leverage AI to create films in a way that's much faster and much more targeted than before. At KMN, we're able to create a film for the director before the shoot even happens. Typically, it takes you about 1 to 2 years. On Furiosa, with AI, we're able to pre-visualize the entire film in a matter of 6 to 8 months. Dell and NVIDIA forms the backbone of our AI factory. Dell AI Factory with NVIDIA allows us to deploy AI solutions on-prem. We store all of our critical data on a PowerScale. It allows us to scale horizontally and vertically. At the same time, the PowerScale feeds all of our precision workstations on-prems as well. Dell Precision Workstations really allow us to do all of our AI work. The balance between CPU and GPU compute is the best that I've ever seen. When it comes to AI workflow, NVIDIA and Dell technology is the best of the breed. On Furiosa, there's a giant 15-minute chase sequence called Stairway to Nowhere. With the PowerScale, we're able to pre-visualize the entire sequence from beginning to end in a real-time system. When you're working with movie studios and trying to achieve multi-billion-dollar outcomes, you need a partner that can deliver. Dell Technologies allows us to comfortably reach those goals without having to worry about technology.
In this segment, we will unpack storage architectures and why they're so critical to AI. This should be common sense, and people should understand this because data really powers AI. To help me unpack this, I'm joined by Geeta Vaghela, who's the Senior Director of Product Management, Unstructured Data Solutions at Dell Technologies, and Premal Savla, who is the Senior Director of Product Management, Deep Learning Systems at NVIDIA. I don't know that I could have two better people to be on with me to help me unpack this, because I think that really AI, obviously AI is such a buzzword, but you're two preeminent providers of the infrastructure that really powers AI. So let's kind of jump into it. Customers really have capitalized on waves of innovation over the years, and obviously AI is a big one. How are customers really taking advantage of AI? And we'll start with you, Geeta.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, Rob. It's a big buzzword, but it's also a market that's in flux and everyone's trying to figure out what it means to them. And what we're seeing, and I think the benefit of Dell is it's such a broad company and we get to see all sorts of verticals, horizontals, speak to people in C-suite all the way down to boots on the ground. I mean, we're getting to get a full experience. And the one thing we're taking away that there really isn't a one size fits all. Everyone's doing it a slightly different way. They're trying to solve a slightly different problem. It's not just product, it's people, process. It's an entire evolution of what I think we've seen in our markets before. So it's a technological evolution for sure, but it's also how people are thinking about it, their risk aversity, the philosophy of the company and the enterprise. And net, I mean, what we're seeing is there's not a blueprint. There's not one blueprint that fits for everybody. And what Dell's been really looking to do is, one, provide some of that strategic advisory for when enterprises or customers need it, to help kind of pick apart what are your true goals and how do we help you get there, and is it a people, process, technology challenge? How do we overcome those? But I think that's the biggest one. So we've been focused big on helping provide those advisory services, and then really designing for flexibility, because we want to be able to build the Lego blocks that can fit into the various environments, and then scale those as many of these enterprises go from test dev to production, and that becomes a whole different world, especially when you think about data. I live in storage, so data stewardship is a big part of what I think about, and that entirely changes the game for them.
So just to add to what Geeta said, right, one of the key things is on the advisory side, a lot of it is education, right? We have to continue to talk to customers about the different aspects of the technology. What is AI? How does storage play with AI as we move forward? And a lot of, as every new technology has come into market, there's a place for education that comes in the front.
That's right.
And that's a big part of getting that technology adopted and making it easier to consume. So that's a big portion of the conversations that we have with our customers around AI, and talking about all the different teams within a company and how they're approaching these different projects is critical. They have a certain way they have been doing things, but AI makes you think differently. The amount of processing power that it requires, the amount of data that is consumed is significant. So they have to think through is how this is going to be used as they move forward with whatever initiatives that they are taking with AI in their particular company or in their organization.
Yeah, no, I think it's really important, and I think that is exactly it. Is you got to have kind of a path, a good path, right,
Correct.
from that. And Geeta, kind of help us understand how Dell is really changing the game around AI with the storage portfolio, and how you're changing your storage portfolio to really address this.
Yeah. I think as Premal talked about the education, it's a really valid point, because what we've done is we've learned along with the market. And so there was a big sort of focus on a need for compute, and really looking at, it was kind of a piecemeal, like I need all these different things to come together for my environment. It often started with a conversation on compute, and then it went to networking, and NVIDIA's obviously been a huge part of helping the market understand how to use some of this technology. And as that's come down to storage, we've been sort of looking out to see, are customers thinking about this as a whole new world, like a promised land, or is it an evolution of where they've been? Because storage has been around for a long time. And when I think about AI or generative AI now, there's been a long history in AI with machine learning and deep learning, et cetera. So one thing that we're seeing is really hearing about the storage that needs to fit into this ecosystem. So it's not a standalone piece, it's a solution design, and that's why our partnership with NVIDIA and the AI Factory has been such a big part of that, to bring those components together and then use storage as a building block that seamlessly integrates. So things like interoperability, simplicity, hitting some of the, you'll hear me say data sovereignty, data lineage a lot, because maintaining the data and its integrity so that you can use that data, but in a trustworthy way as part of this ecosystem, is really what we're seeing starting to resonate.
Geeta, you hit an important point, which was, PowerScale's been around for a bit, and it has a lot of data in there.
Yep.
A lot of people are using that data for RAG and other different types of AI. What are some of the features that people are really excited about that are in PowerScale now and coming?
Yeah, it's all over the map, to be honest, Rob, and it really depends. When I said earlier that the vertical or the use case or where the customer is in their journey is really what kind of targets what features they need at any given time. The ones that are really resonating, and I'll give you an example from a customer I met at the beginning of this week. They're a long time, they've done a lot of machine learning, so a large financial services organization. They were doing a lot of fraud analytics, anomaly detection, and now they want to extend that into generative AI, where they've got an understanding of anomalies, but they want to make that queryable through some sort of chatbot. And so that evolution is where we're seeing some of the traditional paradigms of scale, simplicity, because as Premal said, it's a lot of data. And when you're trying to manage a lot of data, it can get complicated very quickly. And so just massive amounts of scale out data, easy to access, even things like right placing that data. So PowerScale has had a long history around right placing data based on tiers. And the idea behind that is data has value at any given time. And so you want to align that with your cost and your budget and your TCO. Your technology is great, but to make it real, there is an evolution of how that gets productized. So we're seeing things around performance, capacity, but also metadata, and how do you get context and insights on some of that data to define what we're starting to get behind is sort of a data set concept now, which is the idea of you've got a lot of data, but to really do any AI processing, you need to be able to understand what data in there do I want to siphon out and put closest to my GPU so that I'm not leaving money on the table, and start to elevate through that pipeline.
Premal, NVIDIA and Dell are really a powerhouse combination when it comes to this. Can you talk to this partnership in a little bit more depth?
Yeah, so when we started the AI journey, or when I started the AI journey with NVIDIA, one of the key things that we looked at is how do you make it easy? How do you make the technology easy for the enterprise to deploy and consume? And one of the things that we did at NVIDIA was to create the reference architecture with the NVIDIA DGX SuperPod. And as part of that design, what we did is we enabled customers to take building blocks, as Geeta talked earlier. How do you make it modular enough so that you can consume it? As you grow, as the number of organizations that are playing with different models and AIs in your enterprise, you want to be able to scale it easily, and you have to think differently from what it was being done in the past. And what Dell brought to the table was a lot of capabilities around what it's already been doing with the enterprise, and that allowed us to partner together to create a solution with Ethernet enabled storage so that we can take it to our customers. A lot of times when new technology comes, we want to provide it in nice building blocks so that people can take it and use it and build from there. And as they grow, we bring in more capabilities, and that's what we did with Dell. So that's where we are right now. So we announced Dell PowerScale with NVIDIA DGX SuperPod. Now it's fully available. We are very excited by that. The team has been excellent. One of the other things that we want to do is we want to test this in-house so that we don't do it at a customer. So our teams have been working together for quite a few months to figure out is all the details that are required to get a performance system out there. Mm-hmm. And the way to think about it is NVIDIA DGX SuperPod is a Ferrari. And to keep that Ferrari running on the racetrack, you need that data and that power. And that's what the PowerScale brings for us.
I want to thank you both for coming on board. I think this was a great segment that people can really take tangible lessons from and apply them. So thank you for coming on board.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
And thank you. Stay tuned for more Making AI Real with Data on theCUBE, the leader in high-tech enterprise news and analysis.
Samsung SDS is IT arm of Samsung Group. Samsung SDS been trying to automate our own processes so that we can increase the productivity of our own work. And then we're trying to evangelize to our customers so that they should be able to use it on their own use case. Dell Technologies with NVIDIA give a consistent service to our employees so they should be able to use those technology. You need multiple language models, the RAG, the plugin, and also it needs to store data. In a way, it's AI factory. Generative AI is used in a way that we should be able to hyper-automate all the work process. We can improve productivity by up to 70%. For example, you do maybe an hour of meetings and you have to summarize it. It takes hours. Now, using a product called Briti Copilot, it records it and it summarizes for you in a different language, multiple different languages. With Dell Technologies, with NVIDIA, we are able to not only get the GPU servers and storage, you get the best performance of the marketplace. Using Dell PowerEdge XE9680, we are able to deliver the consistency and power consumption and high performance. With this generative AI, you don't have to code, you don't have to access the very difficult systems. Dell Technologies with NVIDIA give us the power to have a consistent performance at any given use case that there is. That's the great thing about this partnership.
Welcome back. As we close out our conversation today, I wanted to recap what you have heard. By harnessing the power of AI with your data, you have the potential to revolutionize your business. At Dell Technologies, we are committed to empowering you with the infrastructure solutions you need to move faster than ever before with your AI efforts. Making AI real with your data starts today. We are so pleased to be able to offer you an exclusive GenAI Accelerator workshop, which will help you right-size your environment and get started with your AI efforts faster than ever before. A huge thank you to all our customers and partners who are joining us on this AI journey. Together, we can make a greater impact and unlock new possibilities. Thank you so much for joining us today.